Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Now, oh my goodness, where should I begin? I've told people countless times that this was going to happen. Hit the like button, good people. I said we're going to come to this day because I know how this game works. When you guys kept asking me what I thought about Joe Budden and why they not in the podcast room, I don't watch Joe Budden's show, so I really don't, get caught up into his show like that. I don't really watch it, to me. There's too many people on the mic. It's just not interesting. So they got this guy that they hired to promote the show called Danny from the Stop. I just listened to a Danny video and get caught up with whatever was on the show. So instead of wasting 3 hours that I don't have to listen to Joe Budden, I just get it in like 10 minutes from the Stop. And basically, I didn't miss anything. Now, the problems with this show is the show itself. Right? And don't forget to hit the like button too. Y'all been skating off that for a minute. We got to get back to basics around here. Hit the like button coming through the door. And donate to the Cash App. We got one Cash App question that popped up. So we will tackle that first. Then get to business. No, I'm not a big fan of Joe Budden. Not really at all. Tor said, have you seen Drake's new female alter ego, Anita? No, I have not. Tor. So I don't even know what that's about. Don't know what that's about, but thank you for your Cash App donation. And let's continue right now. He said, is this the one about the billboard? No, they are not in that facility that they have, the rental space, because Joe Budden once again decided he wanted to collide with people. This time it was a neighbor, people that lived in the building, and where they record and things of that nature is a very rich individual, wealthy man. And, Joe is Joe Budden. He feels now because he got some money, somebody that's been broke and they finally get some money and they break through, it's too much for them to handle. They don't understand how the business works. They don't understand that there's people out there that don't want you to have this money. And then they're trying to impress the person that got, like, they super wealthy. They don't care. You live in a place that they don't even want you at. This is where you're recording at. And they don't even want you and half of your crew there. They're like, you're bringing this element to our luxury place. And then you have the nerve to fall out with them and thinking that because you have money, you belong. And you're buying things to try to keep up with them. So in actuality, you look more and more like a spiraling loser than someone who really matters. Someone of any importance in the game. You're out here just looking ridiculous. So now you're back at Park's house. You're recording out of Park's house instead of the old studio that you had where you could do your other shows, and this slows up the process. But this is not the big problem with the network, with the Joe Budden network or whatever you want to call it. The biggest problem, as I told all of you before, the biggest problem is Joe Budden. All of this is about Joe. By the show being called the Joe Budden Podcast, you might as well not join it, because here's the thing. You're going to get screwed over because everything's about Joe. He thinks the show revolves around him. He's the star. Everybody else he's Michael. Everybody else is Tito, and that's it. Rest in peace, Tito. So now they got evicted for this place. Joe Budden's got to go to court because these wealthy people said, well, he's had lewd behavior. Now he's got to go to court and explain what lewd behavior is. And then they got a law saying you can't record anything or do any shows in any of these apartment buildings. It's in your contract. You need to read it, Negro. So now he can't do any of his recording in that place. So it means that you just basically getting evicted and you can't come back in that building. See, this is what happened when you deal with wealthy people and you're trying to show off and buying cars and stuff, trying to compete with the dude. He bought a car and brought all his cars out, so I bought my cars and brought them out. Why? See, to you, you think these are whips. Like, you really think you're impressed with these cars. To this white dude, you know what? To that white guy, they just some vehicles. Don't really care about those cars. He's wealthy. What do those cars really mean to him? That's just something he's using to get by. If he feel like taking that one today, he'll feel like taking that one today. If he feel like taking this one, he'll take this one. They're just cars to him. To you, you feel like you scoring a point with him, trying to prove something to people that don't value you anyway. To him, you have no value. So why are you spending all of your time to try to impress? But you don't know what you're doing, and neither does your manager. Because y'all went ahead and y'all bulk of y'all money. I'm going to say it right now. I don't really give a damn. Look, the bulk of y'all money come from Patreon. That's where y'all money coming from. Y'all were living exclusively on Patreon once you blew the Spotify deal and you lost it almost all, buddy. You see, I know that for a fact because I was there before you got there. And I remember I did a video about Joe Budden on the Patreon, and they jumped down my throat. You copied my entire layout, my whole page structure, all my tiers, you copied. Then said, oh, I'm going to do a special thing, and then I'm going to tax people another $50. And you did your deal exclusively with Patreon. That is something that really, really got to me, because it's not really your fault there more than it is the Patreon, but you copied me and didn't even have the decency to say thank you, Sino, because I was already up and rolling and was one of the top earning Patreons. Wrong. You see, his business collided with my business because I was on Patreon first. Then he comes over, mimic my whole layout. Your manager, Ian, or you, one or the other, mimic my layout, then goes ahead and copy it my tiers because you didn't know how to set up a tier. Ian didn't know what the hell he was doing. Y'all went to my page and mirrored it. The pay structure, everything. No one had my pay structure. Mine was custom made by me. You go and mimic exactly what I do. Which tells me all I needed to know. Now, once you did that and you made it going exclusively, you did a deal exclusively with Patreon themselves. They were glued to trying to promote you. And the moment I made my video, then all of a sudden here comes this conflict as if Ian or yourself tried to kick it down. So I had to talk to Patreon and said, hey, y'all really want to play this game? Do y'all really want to play this game? Because I'll burn that podcast down to the ground. Now, I don't really mess with the Joe Budden podcast, but I will expose it. So I really don't even mention them because they're boring. They're dead. They've been dead for 2 years. When Rory and Mal left, the show was dead. It was. It's just dead. It's dead in the water. And it's killed because of Joe. All of the reasons that Joe Budden podcast is dying, and it's been dying for years, is because of Joe Budden. His ego is too much. And it's going to crush anybody that's around. And all the new people who are around are the new stupid people. They're the guinea pigs. Joe changed every time. When he first started with Rory and Mal, he didn't have much money. So what he said was, hey, if you guys are all partners, we all got a partnership. We all going to split the money. So you're a part owner. I'm a part owner. We all running this thing. They were like, cool. And it wasn't the Joe Budden podcast. The name was, I'll name this podcast later. Then he named it the Joe Budden Podcast, where Rory and Mal had to say, hey, man, we're owners too. We didn't agree on that. So they had to go and have a meeting with their managers and things about what happened in that process. So now the show had to be called the Joe Budden Podcast, featuring Rory and Mal. It had Rory and Mal name had to be included. But why would that have happened in the first place? It's because everybody has different managers. And once you have that many cooks in the kitchen, when he decided to hire Voltron 5, and I said, man, the Joe Budden podcast need a female voice on there. And they went and got Melissa Ford. And I said, this is going to go bad. Just give it time. You got Ice and Ish, two people that was your friends. It was hanger-ons. And they mad they broke. Eventually, we know what's going to happen here. Something's going to have to give. So everybody got hired as employees now. You're not partners no more. Rory and Mal, he got rid of them because the show started to rise up in revenue. Now Joe looks stupid if he split the revenue with Rory and Mal, but they're signed to an equity deal. You made them partners, so you wouldn't have to pay them as employees that you didn't have the money to pay them. So you gave them an equity deal. Now that the money is up, you got to split all that money with them, and you don't feel comfortable with that because you feel I'm doing a lot of work. And they don't do a lot of work. This was built up off of me. Why I got to split that with them? So now the next group, they were stupid enough to just walk out like, you know what? Keep the money, man. We're going to get our own show. When they could have just went to court and sued and got the money that they were supposed to get. But they left a lot of money on the table. Joe know that. But let's get to the real nitty gritty here. Now, that whole panel is basically hired help, hired guns. The show is not a lot of, it's 6 people in there. It's a lot of mouths to feed. He tried to start well, we're going to do this. This is the Joe Budden podcast, or the whole thing brand. He couldn't do that because he's trying to sleep with the women that come up in there, sexually harass people. You know, this guy is a problem. He's been a problem. It's him. That's why it's going to fail. Every time it's eventually going to blow up, it's because of Joe. Joe's good with doing podcasts and just him and a couple other guys, and they could just do the show and he gives his thoughts, and that was it. But you needed a balance of people who fit. Rory was there because he made sense of Joe's rhetoric. Joe would go off on a rant. Rory would make sense of it to the general public who was listening to Joe just ramble on for about 10 minutes straight. Yeah, that fucking fuck nigga. He thought that this was what it was gonna be. Rory B. Yeah, and you know, it was just very egregious of them to make those type of claims. And now it all blew up in their face, and now they have to deal with the outcome of what just happened. And Maul was just a hater. That's what Maul's job was. Maul was a hater because that's all he is a hater. Everybody will be in agreement. Oh, it was a great performance. Oh, it was outstanding. Yes, I think it was a tremendous performance. I thought everything was great. Maul, how'd you think? Man, that shit sucked. And that was the balance. That was their perfect balance. Maul hates everything that goes on. Rory was there to reason and make it, you know, understandable to the reasonable people. And Joe Budden could just be Joe Budden and just go off the reins. You had a balance of that work, a dynamic that worked. And that's not easy to do. To where everybody gets noticed for what they do. That's very hard. As he sees right now, he got 6 people in there. None of them are good. Not one. So you got to hire help. That ass is nothing but goddamn yo homeboys. You push back a little bit, they fold. Then the end, she just so sensitive about everything. You slept with my woman years ago. You know, I was broke up with her. I don't care about it, but I'm gonna bring it up every time because I don't care. So he just cries all the damn time. Ice is like, man, as long as they give me a little bit of money, I'm straight. You know, so he's on there. He's dull. And they've been trying to coach these guys up, but these guys aren't good. They're not. And he knows it. That's why he had to go get hired help. He had to go and hire help. Melissa Ford joined the team because they needed a female voice on there. They're like, we needed a female voice. I said that. I'm like, you're going to need a female voice on the show now because you don't have a dynamic. And when Joe talks, it's from a misogynistic standpoint. Plus, he got all this sexual harassment suits from people that used to work there and tried to get into the network, the Joe Budden network that he tried, and he don't even know what he's doing. So I'm like, Joe don't know what he's doing in this. He's linking up with Academy and all these people. They don't know how to really do that. So what do they do to screw it all up? Melissa Ford is there. They bring in Queen's Flip. So you bring Flip in, then that's going left. You thinking we're going to get Flip's people. Flip is a hired gun. Flip's there on a contract, but Flip ain't with the Joe Budden podcast. Like, he's like, I'm going to need my own chair that sit up real high so everybody can know I'm not with y'all. I got my own stuff I'm doing. And y'all ain't been, as long as y'all ain't messing me up, I'm cool. So he's already, since the day he been there from day one, ain't been with the script. I already told you that would be the first thing to blow right away because he's like, you're not my boss, Joe. That's going to be assessed in day one. Joe Budden is not the boss of him. These are hired guns. Then that wasn't enough. They bring in Imani. They brought Imani on the show. We like, who? Who the hell is Imani? Then you got Park sitting in there talking. You got Ian coming in there talking. Everybody talking. Then they'll bring in a guest. I'll be like, well, damn, the guest's gonna be exhausted from answering a room of goddamn questions from 85 goddamn people. Everybody, one mic. No, it ain't one mic. It's 17 mics in here. That's the problem. One mic. Come on, one mic. That's all you hear on this show. Come on, one mic. It's a hard listen. It's a hard listen now. And they know it's been bad. Joe knows the show's bad. They just been getting along and going by through the motions. The show has been bad for a long time. If it wasn't for the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, this show would have been just as dead as Academics' show. That regenerated both of them dead channels. Academics was dead. He talking about basically nothing all day. And then Joe Budden, they blew life into both of them because they was totally irrelevant before any of that happened. Right, now you got Academics out here on Ozempic. He got the old Ozempic thing, stabbing himself in the stomach. Exactly. Oh, we know it. And when you have more problems in the horizons, right. Now you getting the big picture. Now you seeing the real problem. I'm glad y'all are finally understanding it. Then that wasn't enough. Thank you for telling the truth. Thank you. People don't give me credit for telling the truth, but I definitely do that. Tell the truth. I definitely do that. And there's another dynamic. Who was the last person they added to the program? Who was the last person, just when you thought they brought everybody they can on the show, who did they add to the show? I want to see if y'all know. Who was the person they brought on the show? No, not no Fat Joe. Who did they bring on the show to be working there? A hired gun that they brought in. Somebody who already had his own thing, but then he just signed a deal to come on the Joe Budden show. There we go. Rosie for the win. Mark Lamont. Mark Lamont Hill. His weirdo self. They bring this guy on the show. So you got 7 to 8 people on this damn show. Why? You think the money you making is big enough? No, because there's so much competition out than when you first came out that other people have better shows to watch. People watch Wallow and Gilly. People watch Mason Cam now. They don't focus on the Joe Budden podcast no more because they know it's dull, it's dead. You got bougie and put all the focus on you being bougie. That's not what got you blown up. You were sitting over there in some flip-flops, some furry goddamn house shoes, and some big-ass quilt blanket and some sunglasses in the house, laying up on the couch, all comfy. Don't even want to do your job. Just blurting. There you go. Look at them. Sunglasses in the house at night, sitting on the side in a big old sweater with some furry slippers on like he just came out the bedroom. None of the hunger that you had before. Right? All of that's gone. And what do you replace it with? You replace it with nothing. You replace it with nothing but rhetoric and garbage. And that is what your show has become. I hope they play this for you. And it has nothing to do with the Patreon stuff with me and you. I'm just giving the back history for those who didn't know. Okay? Now, Wallow and Gilly got too many ads, then you should probably buy YouTube Premium so you don't have to worry about ads. But let's get into this because it needs to be said. No, the major problem is simple. Joe Budden is going to be putting up anything. See, the Patreon deal is not attached to any of them. Melissa Ford, all the rest of them, the money goes to Joe. It goes to the Joe Budden Podcast. It goes to Joe. Now, they get paid. But when they advertise the show, they put the billboard up and it advertised by Patreon. The Joe Budden Podcast on a billboard, and it's just Joe Budden. The rest of them dudes aren't on it. They brought that up on the show. Y'all remember that? They had a whole episode when everybody wanted to get their grievances out about seeing that billboard, and they went up there, and they saying the Joe Budden Podcast, and it's just Joe. And it's got Patreon at the bottom of it. Because he's the one they have to deal with. They got to deal with Joe Budden. He made it about him. When he first got his YouTube channel, I did more views than Joe Budden. Nobody cared about Joe Budden. Once he started putting episodes on the show on his personal YouTube channel, that's when his numbers went up on YouTube. Rory and Maul didn't have a YouTube. And they were like, hey, you getting paid off that. And we're on that. That's our content. We need a check for that. We got a show, and you using the show over there, we got to get paid for that. So now Joe had to break off the thing. He's like, well, why don't y'all take that? I'll give y'all permission to use the footage to start y'all own channels. Then y'all just get the money off that. They was, no. It don't work like that. You don't use the content to blow your channel up. Then when you blow your channel up, all of a sudden off the content we got, and you up and rolling, you want us to start from scratch. No, man, you finna break off the paper and split it 3 ways. That's what you're gonna do. And he had to do it. He had to do it, and he was mad. He got tired. He kept getting in those situations with Rory and Maul because he created it. He's mad because he created it. You gave them an equity deal. because you didn't have the money to pay them. So they always taking sacrifices because you didn't have the money to pay them. So you gave them an equity deal. And so when the money came in, you didn't want to split it 3 ways. And you never wanted to tell the truth. You've been doing this for 2.5 years, stumbling around instead of telling the truth about what really happened. That's on you. And when you got a bad leadership, this is why I would never work with Joe Budden, because it's always going to blow up. It's going to blow up, and it's going to be because of Joe as the reason it blows up. That's the elephant in the room. He's got to be the elephant. Remember the pull-up show? Who remembers the pull-up show? Then him and Charlamagne was going to start to do a show together. And he said, man, everybody knows, like, I can't even work with this dude. We had the pull-up show that was finna go, and we was, all right, we're going to do the pull-up show. We building that. That's going. Joe don't like that he doesn't have total control over everything. Then he will spaz out, want to blow the whole thing up. Every struggle, he blew it up. We ain't getting paid what we should. I'm not mesmerized here. And he blows it all up, don't care about nobody else around, and all of a sudden, they got to go. Everybody got to go. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about with people. I was so disgusted. I was so disgusted. And he's like, Vince Staples and Nikki was the best one on the pull-up. It was. Mav Hoffa knew, like, I can't really deal with Joe. Dog, it's so many people that told me I was right about Joe Budden. They was like, dude, you was right about Joe Budden. I'm like, dude, the signs are there. What? How could you not see it? When I used to tell people about Joe back in the day, and I'd be like, yo, I wanted Joe to succeed. I wanted Joe to win because I'm like, Joe was the guy who was anti-system. I'm anti-system. I'm doing it my way. He had on the white beater that was stretched out like he just woke up. He's sitting over there grinding, going into the doggone laptop, and he just doing it. Right? They was just doing it, making the show. That's the Joe I was rooting for. But it was like he talked about those people because he wanted to be those people. And once he became It's so much going on in the world that these people don't even understand like who they do business with. They just see a name and be like, oh, Joe Budden, let's do business. It's Joe Budden. Then you get in business with them and it's like, man, I'm Joe Budden. It's all about him. Yes. Every deal he got, it was always finagled to be about him because of his management. Ian is there to manage Joe Budden. He's going to make sure Joe Budden has everything. Do you see my thumbnail to this video? It's Joe Budden Podcast, and that's Ian and Joe Budden, because those are the only two people that he's going to care about besides maybe Parks. Maybe Parks. And everybody else, y'all are all expendable. Y'all are the expendables. And he's not there to make sure you guys are rich. So now at the end of 2024, the majority of those dudes' contracts are up. And you know what people are going to want? New contracts with better deals. And now Joe's going to run it like an employee. Like, you only work this many days, then you got this day off. You're going to be off this day. Don't come in this day. We got somebody else coming in this day. They're going to be monitoring days. You're going to be like, why they ain't on the show this week? Why this person ain't on the show this week? Now this person ain't on the show this week. All Joe wanted to be was in that position where all the upper echelon people was. And he got with Diddy. Diddy is the one that helped put you in position, buddy. Don't forget that. You was over there dancing with Diddy with your champagne. He ain't had Rory and Maul there. He had Joe Budden there. You was at Revolt. He came and got you and said, what did he tell you, Joe? He said, everybody told me not to work with you because they said you got a bad attitude. I'll get you through the door. What he said, I can get you through the door. I can give you that chance. But it's up to you to show your brilliance, to prove them wrong. But he gave you the chance when nobody in the world would give you a chance. Everybody told Diddy, do not work with Joe Budden. Complex, the vice president, the CEO, when he went to Def Jam, he contacted Diddy immediately. Said, do not work with Joe Budden. And I know that, and I'm sitting on my couch that Diddy was told not to work with you. And he took a chance on you. And you want to know why Diddy really took the chance on you? Diddy took the chance on you, Joe. And this is the only reason why. You went after the white boy. That was it. That's what earned you your chance. You went after Eminem and you started defending MGK. You told the truth. And once you did that, Diddy gave you that chance. Yeah, I'm talking. That's why you got the chance. That's why you got walked through that doors. And them doors opened up for you over there. That's how the bags start coming in there. That's why BET and everybody else said, okay, we can invite Joe Budden to the party. So you know about those Diddy parties. So if anybody want to know about Diddy parties, ask Joe Budden, because he was there. Now, everybody need to ask, why is Joe Budden in the position he's in? Why do you think he was protected? You know how many domestic disputes Joe Budden has under his belt that all of a sudden thrown under the rug? This man recently was called out for sexual harassment. He apologized online, and he still has his show and did not get Me Too'd. He didn't have countless women came out and accused this man of abuse. He's in court. He's got to pay Sin Santana for life to keep her quiet. And she got a baby by him, too. Nice finesse job. So, that way to go, Sin. Nobody noticed he keeps getting all of his chicks from starlets? So you got to start putting this thing together. Start putting this thing together. This is real talk. This is not no blah, blah, blah. This is real. Start adding it all up. Nadeska cares only about white boys, and, she's one of those, that's Nadeska, she carpet munching and white boys. That's it. That chick is like Harry and the Henderson. Right. Joe was at them parties. Joe has a lot of feminine energy. Let's just put it that way. Feminine energy. Nadeska just had a baby. Yes. And let me guess, he was white. I'm going to tell you, the baby daddy is white. And he's a hipster. He walks around with blue jeans and sandals. No, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't want it either. Because she will make you not like her. And she's more hairy than the Hendersons. That's all I can tell you. Chick forearms has got more hair on it than her damn head. He's like, her baby look like Ivan Drago. I already know the drop. You know how many dudes tried to get her with Nadeska after she was a nobody working at Complex? First of all, a black girl working at Complex. That's going to tell you right there. Black woman working at Complex. You ain't getting that job unless you grew up in suburbia with a bunch of white folks as your friends. You got to have no black friends. Right. Her favorite rapper was like Vince Staples and like those people, those kind of rappers. And Vince is great, but that's the kind of rap she's into, that she would listen to, stuff like that. Tyler, the Creator, and that's the like hipsters. That's her flow. But Joe Budden I would never work with Joe. As I told people countless times, I would never work with Joe. Joe is what you would call a junkie. That's what they called him. Remember what's his name called him? Junkie Joe? He's a junkie. In real life, I'm not talking smack about the guy. The guy, he had a drug problem. and a guy who had a drug problem, that's not ideal for me. I don't want a junkie in my life. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody's a junkie and he's around me, we ain't doing well. See that, Joe? Tahiri, Sin, Kaylin, Yaris, Sharina, Adali, Esther. How many more women are you going to put your hands on, Joe? How many more women are going to allege that you put hands on them? You see that list? Sin, Tahiri, Kaylin, Yars, Sharina, Audley, Esther, and the list goes on. You see? I've been told the people what's going on here. Everybody know. You caused a woman to lose y'all baby due to domestic abuse. He said, add about 10 more Dominicans from starlets, and this is accurate. Exactly. But ain't nobody Me Tooing Joe yet. All of it, Joe. All of this stuff. He thinks it's all over because he got a pass. See, nobody cares about black women paying. You got to start asking yourself the answers to those questions. Why is that always the case? I had to do all this work by putting up with everything I've been putting up with in my own life. Let me show you what's going on in my real life right now. See that? All my luxury stuff on the floor. This is where the flood happened at. All my stuff coming down. All that mildew. They running stuff from the tank into there. I got a brand new tank, brand new air humidifier. This is how I've been spending my Christmas and New Year's. But still made sure the kids had a great Christmas. Even though I can't be there to enjoy it, and my cousins couldn't come over. This is what life has been like. Now, that's the part of the house they normally don't see. I'll take your car trouble over this any day, buddy. Trust me. It's the headache you got to go through with this. I got stuff so valuable down there. Then the fact it's not about having it replaced. You don't understand. It's the actual process of going through it. There's no hot water when you getting this stuff done. So imagine got to wash up at the gym. I got a membership at the gym, so I can go there and take my hot showers and everything. But when first going through this, there's no hot water in the process. I just flew back in town. You knew that. So like one day after flying back in town, all this goes down. So now I got to deal with this, get Christmas gifts mailed out. It's been, and then I got to entertain y'all. So Cino been going through it and showing you how to multitask and handle that. The one thing I can't handle is how bad all this stuff is. Straight like that. So the elephant in the room is clear. You dealing with Junkie Joe, you're liable to be in a situation that you don't want to be in, because that's what he's about. I don't care about that. Who cares? Look. Do you think for a micro minute of a second do you think for a microsecond that I care? Rory and Maul was right. Of course they was right. But he was right about them too. You see, two liars can be right because they both gonna tell the truth about each other that they never gonna say. Rory and Maul, lazy. Bare minimum people, yes, they want to do the bare minimum and get rewarded from it. But see, me being in business and doing things, I can see and read people better than they could. They don't even know they're giving away tails. Rory always wanted to be in Joe's position. He didn't want to be in that position. Maul doesn't want to work. Maul wants to do the very littlest thing possible. That's why he was sleeping on Joe Budden's couch. He's used for somebody else paying and taking care of him. He's not used to being a boss. If you work for Maul, you're going to be fired in a week and no money be coming in. No. Maul is the bare minimum spoiled baby. Somebody been taking care of him. Everywhere he goes, he's always the sidekick. Rory wanted to use Maul because he knew, hey, if I get Maul on my side, then I'm good. Maul is Joe's guy. So Rory saw this as an opportunity for him to come up. He can have a situation, and he wanted to be paid equally to Joe. And now he's feeling Maul. We being ripped off, me and you. And then once he got Maul to go against Joe, who was his guy, he was like, you know me, Maul, and you gonna roll over there with him? Yeah, because Roy, he's seeing the money ain't going right. Because the problem was never with Maul. Maul was okay with everything. It was once Rory wasn't okay with it. And Maul, like, look, as long as all three of us in here, we all good. And he was like, Maul, this is none of your business. Once he said that to Maul, Maul like, oh, it ain't my business. I ain't a member of this podcast. And Joe's like, not really. That's when he was like, Rory's right. So, yeah. But they are bare minimum people. And Joe didn't want to pay bare minimum people that kind of money, but the show would not have succeeded without those bare minimum people. It was a great dynamic. It was a golden fit. And you only get one of those. I knew he was lazy. Hell, I thought he was blind. When I first watched the show, y'all know that. I thought Maul was blind. I said, man, that's cool. The blind guy is taking the glasses off and everything. He was just sitting there like, I'm like, oh, they gave him a little something. I'm thinking it's Braille or something that he's typing on the phone because he's never looking like at the camera or at anybody. He just be, yeah, and then his eyes be like way off in space. But I'm like, oh, that's cool. The blind guy's on there. I thought Maul was blind for like 20 episodes. Somebody was like, no, he's not blind. I was like, he ain't. I swear to God. I thought I did a video, was like, yeah, man, and the blind dude that'll be on the show. The man, y'all was dying laughing in the chat. Y'all remember? I literally thought he was blind. I kid you not. I thought Maul was blind. I'm like, that's cool, man. The blind dude, man, he don't be wearing his glasses or nothing. He just be out there. They was like, no, Maul ain't blind. Y'all had to tell me that. So that tells you the perception that you get off is like he's not really engaged. But it worked for the show because he was the hater. That was his job. His job was to hate. Him and Joe and Rory be raving about something, and they switch it over to Maul, and here come the hate. Boom, he gonna knock it all down. Exactly. That's what I was like. Damn, the blind dude, man, you don't gotta give him props. He don't even wear his glasses, none of that. Go ahead, blind dude. So when I saw the blind guy rocking out, right, the blind guy was rocking out. Oh, I know, man. That's what I was saying too. I think Melissa Ford, he's gonna really get stretched this season. The new contracts that's gonna come out, they either gonna like it or not. Already, to keep Flip, they're gonna have to pay Flip a lot of money. Joe ain't gonna like that. Joe ain't gonna like paying out a lot of money, especially on Patreon. Once that Patreon money get light, woo, good night. What's up, HD? And I'm still going through it, man. I just showed everybody here on this live stream what I've been going through. Everybody on this live stream just saw what I was going through, HD. I just took them in the basement and showed them that, man. There's so much mildew smell and everything still down there. I get sick just from walking downstairs. I should have never walked down there without my mask. Joe deal ain't gonna get restructured. Their deals are gonna get restructured. They're not signed with Patreon. Joe is signed to Patreon. Joe got the deal there. He just paid him off of what he get from Patreon. The Joe Budden Podcast get paid. So then he break them off some. Dude, I got like 4-5 fans down there. It's crazy. Crazy, man. They got to come back and finish. But that's where it's at right now. They like, we'll be back after New Year's. I'm like, so I gotta have that going till like after New Year's. That's how bad it is. Tore up my whole room, everything. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Thank you, bro. That's why I keep my ventilation going on in this house.
Forwarded to voicemail.
Okay. Now, they're just employees, not partners. Exactly. You see, Roy and Maul were partners. They had equity in the whole contract. He got booted from the condo because of lewd behavior. The neighbors didn't like him anyway. He felt he was loud, being what he can. This is a rich neighborhood. They don't like people in there anyway. You trying to prove something to them, I got money too. And you want to bring your cars and everything, show off in front of them. They ain't got time for that. They ain't got time to deal with you. They don't want no parts of you. And Joe thought he was up there with them and tried to mouth off with these people. And in the end, he looks like the fool. Are they more successful? Yes, they actually are. They're more successful now as far as earnings because now they earn their own money. And whenever the numbers get low, you know, they're not outstanding, but they got deals based on the fact of being on the Joe Budden podcast. They was on the show. That opened doors for them that normally wouldn't be open for them. No, the humidifier broke. That was the problem. The humidifier broke, so all the water started pouring out from the humidifier. It wasn't sending the water down the pipe no more. So once the humidifier was there, the water that was running through the humidifier, that wasn't working. So it was just pouring out on the floor. And, instead of going near the pump, it went towards the back room because the humidifier is towards the back room. So the water just went in that direction, not towards where the pump is. So if it was like a flood, like rain from outside getting in the house, the pump would have just took care of that. But the water never went that way. It rolled because the humidifier water went straight to the back room. So under the back room, it went all under the carpet. Okay. I don't know what that's about. We're going to have to fix that. Woo! Was the Queen's Flip stuff fake drama? Yes, that's fake drama. Queen's Flip drama with Joe Budden is fake. That's they have no fake. At the end of the year, Queen's Flip contract is up, just like everybody else's that signed those deals. But Flip contract ends at the end of the year. Doesn't mean he's not going to be back. They got to renegotiate a deal. But it was to draw the attention to the show and all that. Like Queen's Flip is leaving the Joe Budden show, and it's all this. That's what this show has become now. Clickbait. Everybody's going through they're gonna be redoing the show now because now you're gonna have to pay these people more money, and your show ain't breaking the ratings no more. The Joe Budden Podcast show is dying. If it's pretty much dead at this point. If it wasn't for yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Definitely hit the like button. So what Joe Budden wanted to do was to run things his way. And when he runs things his way and put it on a pedestal to say, yes, when you want to put something on a pedestal, let that be that. No, Joe Budden ain't going to be restructured. Joe Budden's deal is not going to be restructured. That's out of the question. Because Joe Budden, there's no need to restructure his deal. It's all the way there. His deal is already in concert. You got to look at the main scenarios and main things on the platform. They get paid probably way, 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 way more get off Patreon because they're dealing exclusively with the owner. So the fact that they're going through this process is letting the whole world know we have a major situation on our hands. I would never work with him. I would never work with Joe. If I worked with Joe, it would be like on some higher thing. Like I'll come in and work for a day, but we wouldn't do a show together. Like I would never tie myself in business with Joe Budden because he's somebody who's unstable. He doesn't know what he's doing, and his manager shows me he doesn't know what he's doing. All of them show me they don't know what they're doing. Okay, WDS, take my URL down for my channel. Go to send feedback, and you send feedback to YouTube saying, why am I not getting notifications for this channel? That's how that works. I can't do it for you. I believe me, I've been cussing them out, and they're claiming that, hey, it's not where it's happening at. Mm. Well, you gotta. To me, that don't even matter. Joe Budden has already shown what he's gonna do. Melissa Ford is gonna be on there again because she's a woman. She's got to give a woman's opinion. But everybody was thinking about spinning off, getting their own shows. Flip do his own thing. See, unlike Ice and Ish, he does his own thing. So he was already making money before he came on to the show. Basically, he's a hired gun to help build the show and keep the numbers up. They bring Flip over there. Right. Melissa Ford, she wasn't really getting no money anymore. She was with the gay dude from Hollywood Unlocked. She was over there, and then she got in a car accident, and she didn't know what she was going to do anymore. She was just sitting at home, just not doing anything. Then all of a sudden, she's back in action. No, it's just that Melissa Ford is somebody that she makes her money now on OnlyFans. So that's where she makes the bulk of her money. And Joe is like basically telling everybody, hey, use this to get whatever deal you can. Get your OnlyFans. I'm not asking anything from you from OnlyFans. It's like, well, OnlyFans is just me. It's not, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Your Patreon is not just Joe Budden on there, it's Joe Budden and all of us. So we got to get paid off of it. Man, these people don't care no more. That's the sad part, but they just don't care anymore. No, they'll figure it out, man. This is a business that's so corrupt. You'll be amazed. Anyway, I'm finna get up out of here. Love, peace, and hair grease. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life. Welcome to HDII TV. Jag Sports with, well, it's just sports talk with Jose Rodriguez. And join the Carcino for Life Patreon, which is me. And I'm out.